When do your kids hear from you? Are they hearing from you when things are going wrong or when things are going right, or a little bit of both? Oftentimes, we tend to give our energy and attention around situations when things are going wrong or it's something we don't approve of. And oftentimes, we forget to take those moments when things are going well and give our energy and attention there. Let me give you a scenario. Let's say your child just came in from playing in the snow and they come inside in the entry and they start taking off all their snow clothes and just leave them all there and walk away. You walk into the space and you start giving your attention and energy. Come and put your clothes away. Why didn't you listen? You know you need to hang up your clothes. Lots of negative energy around that interaction, and our kids are hearing from us. Now, let's take that same scenario and have a different outcome. Let's say your child did come in and they put away their snow clothes. They hung them up to dry and nothing was said. You didn't give any energy to that. So often we tend to give our energy when things aren't going our way or the way that we would prefer. And we forget to give energy and praise when things do go well. And the reality is that praise will increase the likelihood of the behavior happening again. So if your child is doing something you approve of, if they're completing their chore or their contribution without being asked, if they're making their bed, if they're putting something away, if they're cleaning up after dinner, they're cleaning up after themselves, if they're doing these things, or even smaller things, being kind to their sibling or sharing a toy, are we giving any energy to that? Because we want to increase the likelihood of that positive behavior, we should make it a priority to praise it. So there are different types of praises that can be given. The two that I want to talk about today are personal praise and effort-based praise. Now, a lot of studies say that the best type of praise to give is effort-based praise. And while I agree that that is a very important type and a good way to praise children, I also still believe in personal praise. Let me give you examples of both. Okay, personal praise. Let's say my child, who is an artist, comes in and just shares their artwork with me and says, "Mom, look what I made." And I look at that piece of art and I say, "Oh my goodness, that is incredible. I love this. You are such an amazing artist. It looks so realistic. I can't believe you have this talent. You are like our own little Picasso." That is personal praise. But there's another way you can approach that same scenario, and it's called effort-based praise. And it sounds like this. They bring in the artwork and you say, "Wow, check out all that different shading that you used. It made it look so realistic, and I love how you captured her eyes. Wow, that is amazing." So you are more specific in that you are praising their effort and what they did, how they used different shading. So both praises are good. Some would say effort-based is better than personal praise, but my personal opinion and what I do in my family is I do both. Sometimes it's just a personal praise of, "Wow, that was an amazing flip you did on the tramp. Good job." Or, "You got that kickflip on your skateboard. You have been practicing so hard." It's just personal praise and then effort-based praise. So you can choose to do both. What I worry about is some parents are now hearing, "Oh, you need to praise in a certain way. You need to do effort-based instead of personal praise." And they may feel intimidated by that and think, "Well, if I don't praise right, then I'm doing it wrong." And they withhold the praise because they're afraid of praising wrong. And that's what I want to caution you about. Do not withhold the praise because you're afraid of doing the wrong one that the study said was better. Instead, show up for your child. Increase the likelihood of them engaging in that positive behavior again, whatever it is. The trick, the artwork, putting the clothes away or the dish away. Showing up for them and making sure that they hear from you when things are going well, not just when things are not going well. Okay, so showing up for them in those positive moments. One way that we can remind ourselves how to do this, something that I have come up with, is called the PR jar. Now the PR jar, as you can see here, has a lot of white rocks and then one green rock in the middle. And PR stands for 3 different things. It stands for positive rocks. These are supposed to be a signal of positive statements, positive rocks. The other thing it stands for is personal reminder. It sits out in a location in your home where you can see it and be reminded. It's a personal reminder. And the last thing that PR stands for is positive reinforcement. Again, when we give praise, that positive reinforcement, the child is more likely to engage in that good behavior. So the PR jar, as you can see, there are lots of white rocks and one green stone in the middle. And what it is to remind us that I want you to think about that green one. Which one stands out to you? Most people would say the green one stands out. And as parents, sometimes we give all of our attention and our energy to the green rock, which represents something that we want to change. And we keep talking about it and we keep bringing it up and we hound the child. And every time there's an interaction, this thing is sure to come up. Has that ever happened in your home where there's something you want to fix or change and you give a lot of time and energy to it and the child can count on, well, if I'm going to interact with my parent, it's probably going to be about this, or every day or every time I talk to them, this comes up, or it comes up often. So those are the green rocks, the things that we want to change that we're giving a lot of energy to. The PR jar exists to remind you there are going to be things you want to change, but also you need to remember all the white rocks, which represent the things that are going well, the things that we may forget to notice, the things we may forget to give our time and attention to and our energy to. So this is to remind you, yes, even though that green rock exists and that thing exists that you want to change, instead of focusing on it, focus on the things that are going well. Focus on the white rocks, the things that are going well, and give it attention and give it praise. Now, I want to share an example of this that happened in my own home. Let's remember as a disclosure that I am not a perfect parent. I mess up, I lose my cool, and I fix it when things go wrong. And we can do that. Nobody's perfect, but we can show up and strive to be a positive parent every day. And if we mess up, we can start over in the moment. We'll talk about that later. But today, I want to share an experience with you when I was not in a good mood. Something else was going on in my life. And I was showing up in that morning with my kids and I was being short with them and I was irritated and I wasn't using a kind tone. Well, after going on like this for a little bit, my young teenage son went and grabbed the PR jar off the shelf and he put it in the middle of the kitchen counter. And he did not say a word. And he didn't need to say a word because what he did right there communicated everything. My kids know what a PR jar is. They know what it stands for and what it's supposed to remind us to do, to look for the good. And that's exactly what my son did. He took that PR jar down, put it in the center of the island to remind me, Mom, look for the good. And as soon as he did that, it was such a humbling experience. And I thanked him. Thank you for reminding me I needed that. And I was able to reset my behavior and start over. Sometimes we need to reset as adults and as parents. Sometimes we need to be called out. And I absolutely was in that moment. So the PR jar is to remind us, look for the good. Don't focus on the thing that's bothering you, and that's what all your energy is surrounded in. Look for the good. Praise your child. It can be personal praise or effort-based praise. But the most important thing we need to remember when we're praising our children is to be specific. Instead of, oh, good job, and just kind of being vague, you let them know specifically what you're proud of them for. So my son tried for years and years to get a kickflip on a skateboard. And when we would go out and watch him and he finally got it, we would cheer and be so excited, and that's praise. But we could also praise and say, Walker, you worked so hard. Because you didn't give up, you finally got it. It is amazing. It looks so good. And you pour on that praise. So look for opportunities to praise your children. Again, you have to look for these opportunities because they're not screaming at you when things are going wrong. Instead, these opportunities are quiet. They're quiet, and it's when things are going well. So look for those opportunities to praise, be specific, and give positive praise so that it will increase the likelihood of that positive behavior happening again.